Okay, we're going to be changing the front wheel or front tire on a Honda VFR 1200. I have already taken off the fender, not a necessary step, but there's wheel chock in the way and I don't want to lift the front of the bike up more than normal. So I have the bike on its center stand and the wheel's about an inch off the ground. So we're going to go ahead and start by removing the calipers and getting the axle taken out. Well, there's the wheel. I'm going to set this up on a block of wood. So what I've done here is I've taken empty cranberry juice bottle, from plastic, cut it up so that way we have some sort of guard for this bead breaker, because it will chip a wheel. So I just want to inspect that the rotors are kind of level with the base of this, and they are. So what I'm going to do is I folded this juice bottle up and we get the jaw in place. Well, for a cheap tool, it does its job. The wheel is not scratched so far, and we're ready for the next step, and that's getting the tire off the rim. I just want to bring some attention to these blocks. Once again, these blocks are Mojo Blocks by the same maker of the Mojolever. They can be ordered as a set, and they mount right in to the standards Harbor Freight clamps, so it provides a nylon surfaces not to scratch the wheel. I've also taken some U-channel rubber, could be found online through McMaster Car or similar suppliers, just to kind of put a rubber facing on here, even though that the wheel doesn't touch this part. When getting the rim into the assembly, I thought that this would further prevent the wheel from being chipped, so just thought I'd show that. We're going to go ahead and mount this into the clamp set here with the Harbor Freight motorcycle wheel adapter. Taking care to make sure that these clamps get aligned. Alright. Well, it looks like the wheel is in here, pretty sturdy. One thing you do want to know though, that this wheel will spin around, so if you have a tie down, it's a good suggestion to put a tie down around a spoke. Normally this motorcycle wheel adapter has a 1-inch bar. It worked okay for the rear wheel and its opening, but it's a little bit too big for the bearings inner diameters. So with that, I had a piece of 3/4 inch bar stock that we'll be using as a pivot point. And make sure everything is all clamped in, and it is. And what we're going to do next is take this fabulous tire changing bar called a Mojolever, same maker of the Mojo Blocks, and we're going to take the tire off the rim. Alright, I use Pledge for tire lubricant. There are better alternatives out there. There's Glide. There's various pastes, but that's all I had right now. Next up is a Mojolever, and as you can see, this has a nylon faced tip for demounting and a nylon face for the mounting side. So I'm going to work on a clockwise fashion because that's the way I have the tie down strap situated. Okay, we got the knob in, and make sure that the nylon face tip is at the rim. Okay. There's the one side. Once again, our juice bottle plastic. Like I said, may not be a necessary step, but just want to protect the wheel. Okay. Now for side 2. Alright, and there you have it. Old tire off. Time to go on with the new. Okay, have ourselves a nice new set of rubber. This particular one is a Michelin Pilot Road 3. And once again, I'm going to spray some lube on here. Pledge. The first one's always the easiest. Before I do that, I'll just go ahead and put the pivot bar back in. There's the first side. The most challenging part is getting the second bead, getting the second part of the piece of the tire into the rim. And I think it's important to note that when you use this bar, that the tire has to come over, the lip of the tire has to come over this square piece. If you just put it up on top of the bead, this lever is just going to continue to pop off, and you might have a scratchy wheel in the making. So let's go ahead and dip this wheel down. And we're going to use a Mojolever now, putting the bead, as I showed earlier, in the same area above the tool head. Okay, take a block of wood and put this in the tire to keep it from walking around, the bead from walking around. And the rest of it comes down to technique. So let's give this a go. What you want to do is keep an eye on the head of the Mojo lever and keep the wheel tire in the drop center of the rim. When you get to the end, just pop the lever forward and on goes the wheel, the tire onto the rim just like that. Some people might notice that I didn't talk about the dot on the tire. Some tire manufacturers will put a dot on the sidewall, a dot of paint to indicate that that's the light part of the tire in the manufacturing process. And well, after researching and not finding a dot on these Michelins, Michelin does not put a dot on their tires. And the best part about this is there's no scratches on the wheel. Now before I go air up the tire, I got a rag soaked here in rubbing alcohol. I just want to go inside the bead and kind of wipe off this pledge residue as best as I can. I went ahead and kind of rolled the tire around, make sure the bead's flattened out. That way that the beads are in contact with the wheel, no air escaping. So we'll inflate this to the tire pressure. You're going to get some pops coming in. Before I move this over to the balancing segment, I want to make sure that this valve stem doesn't leak. Now normally if you use the rubber valve stems, you shouldn't have a problem. These are aluminum and they rely on an O-ring for sealing, so I just want to make sure everything's good there. So I got this soapy water here, and no leaks, so that's a good sign. So we'll move this on to the next section when we have the Mark Parnes wheel balancer set up, see if these things will take on any weight. Okay, after the balance, it's time to get the wheel back on. So here's our wheel, and make sure we have our rotation right. So our wheel spacers are in.